Following the unexpected defeat of the Persian Empire in 479 BCE, Athens and Sparta emerged out of the ashes as the leaders of Greece. They soon developed a rivalry, as the Spartans grew weary of the upstart Athens. Athens was a democracy, but not in the way we generally think. The right to participate in the government and vote was restricted to adult male citizens. Of the 300,000 people living under Athens' rule in the 4th century, only 30,000 were eligible to take part in its governance. Think about it. Only 10% of the population was able to vote, but compared to the Spartan form of government, it seems like a utopia. Sparta was ruled by 2 kings from separate families, with one of them staying at Sparta when the other went on campaigns. Spartan men were trained from birth to fight, with all of Spartan society built on warfare. Due to how most of the men were in the military, Sparta had a massive slave population called the Helots, who managed the farms of Sparta. Although they beat back the Persians, there is no guarantee they wouldn't be back, so the Athenians decided to form a league of city-states that's purpose was to prevent the Achaemenids from coming back. However, this so-called Delian League soon turned into the Athenian Empire, with members who tried to leave besieged by Athens. The sudden rise of Athens greatly worried the Spartans, who offered support to city-states trying to leave the Delian League. Relations between the 2 city-states worsened, and in 431 BCE they came to blows. Sparta marched into the Attica, but instead of finding a fight, they found empty houses and overgrown crops. The Athenians decided to pull back to the high walls of Athens and wait the Spartans out. They were able to hold out due to the Athenian navy, who were able to resupply the city, because the Spartans lacked any naval force. The Spartans were also harassed by Athenian cavalry and outposts. Finally, the Spartans decided to head back home with nothing to show for their efforts. The year after, Athens was struck by a plague that killed 75,000 people in 2 years. Pericles, the hero of Athens, who had directed the Athenian Empire so ably, was fired and fined by the assembly before succumbing to the plague in 429 BCE. The following years were a back and forth between the Peloponnesian League and Athenian Empire. The grinding conflict devastated both sides, so in 421 BCE, a truce was established. In 415 BCE, after 6 years of peace, the Athenian assembly, convinced by the demagogue Alcibiades, decided to invade Sicily and take on Syracuse. Nices, the lead general of the Syracuse campaign, saw the danger behind the plan, and told the assembly about Syracuse's massive reserves of manpower and materials. The assembly ignored him, so Nices decided to raise the stakes and said that if they were going to invade, they better do it with a huge force, thinking that the assembly would come to their senses and would rather not have a campaign than risk everything. He was wrong. The Sicilian campaign would turn out to be the greatest disaster in Athenian history. Thousands of men were lost, and Athens' proud navy would be routed. Athens would turn into an oligarchy following its defeat in Sicily, but they were soon ousted. After digging deep into the reserves, the Athenian navy was rebuilt and ready for any confrontations with the Peloponnesian League. The Spartans now realized that if they wanted to win the war, they had to win at sea, so they made a deal with the Achaemenids. The Persians would help build Sparta's new navy. In exchange, when the Spartans won, the Persians got to take a slice off the Athenian Empire. Armed with a new navy and good luck, the Athenian navy was smashed by the Hellespont by the Spartans. The Athenian generals were convicted en masse by the assembly. The new generals were understandably cautious, and their actions were easily predicted and defeated by the Spartans. This time, when they dug into the reserves, the Athenians found nothing left. Exhausted by years of war and military blunders, Athens surrendered in 404 BCE, ending the Peloponnesian War. So, did democracy contribute to the defeat of Athens? I would argue yes. The disastrous Sicilian campaign that had drained so much of Athens' resources was piloted by demagogues who deceived the assembly. The assembly was also responsible for Athens' ultimate surrender, as the generals who were responsible after the defeat in the Hellespont were too fearful of being ostracized to take any risks and played straight into the hands of Sparta. Athens' fatal attempts to expand and overreach were also driven on by war hawks who hijacked the assembly. Socrates recognized how easily democracies can be steered by feelings and not logic, but we seem to have forgotten this.